Hey, welcome back to Driver 88. I hope you're all doing well. As you are probably well aware by now, the brand new 992 GT3RS has dropped. And so instead of going over all the specific details that you know, all the improvements for performance that you know about the car, tonight I'm going to talk about the price differences because, oh my God, there is an enormous price increase for the GT3RS as expected. This has caused me to want to go back and check from GT4 onwards what is potentially the best value GT Porsche at the moment. And also, what are the percentage increases as you make your way up the line, which lets you know what potentially is a good buy or what potentially is very, very expensive. On top of that, we're going to compare the new GT3RS to the GT3 and GT3RS from the 991.2 variations and how much that price has increased in just a few years. So please enjoy. So it's no secret that there's an enormous amount of improvements with the GT3RS, from the active aero at the front and rear, from the huge amount of customization from the suspension, the diff, and the 7 different types of traction control stages you have in that car. It is pretty crazy. So what number are we starting at? Well, the very, very base version with no options on it, which is probably not a bad idea, $557,062 Australian. Quite a hefty amount, a chunk of change. What do you think that is compared to its predecessor? Well, the GT3RS, which was launched in February in 2018, was quite an improvement on its previous model as well. However, that price, $453,122. So we're talking $103,940 increase on the 991.2 GT3RS. Now, as I said, that's on-road here in Australia with no Weissach, no options. That is a 22.93% increase in a matter of 4 years. Yeah, so just 4.5 years, 22.93% increase. And for obvious reasons, I guess, given that the way the world is moving at the moment, inflation is at record highs, it's multi-decade highs, and of course people are paying a lot more for cars as materials and everything else is going up. Now, on top of this, I wanted to talk about, you're only starting at $557,000, so there are a number of key options that I think most GT3RS people will option on their car. Namely, of course, the Weissach pack. We're starting at 64,000 Australian dollars and $70,000 with the carbon fiber roll cage. So $70,000 increased on your car for that one. Carbon ceramics are $20,000. And that's pretty much all you'd want to put on your car that are the large items, other than all your sort of aesthetic tweaks, your sort of changes to little bits of carbon and stuff are not going to make a massive difference. I forgot to mention also that there are 9 different color choices for the base car. The special colors are $7,500 and the very popular PTS colors are $30,000. And so, like most people, I went pretty crazy with the configurator now that it's finally up, and I hit a figure of, wait for it, 704,000 Australian dollars. I told you if you're in the UK or the US, you'd fall off your seat because you could pretty much buy a house for that figure. The total 704 grand and the base 557 is almost pushing Ferrari Pista levels of money from just 2 years ago. So that shows you how much these prices have gone up. All right, so I've compiled a few more figures for you guys with all of the current GT Porsche cars on sale today and the base prices and the percentage increases from top to bottom. So at the moment, we're currently sitting at 253 grand for the GT4, and the increase if you want to buy a GT4RS is 37.75%. Now that is quite a huge increase, but personally, I think that it's going to be worth it given that that car is probably 50% more exciting and almost 50% quicker. When you jump up to the GT3, however, it's 24.22% more expensive than the GT4RS with $434,356. Now, a big part of that also is that if you put a Weissach pack on the GT4RS, of course those cars get very close. Let me know in the comments which you would prefer, a fully spec'd out GT4RS or a bone standard GT3. Now, another part of a detail that I wanted to look at against the 991.2 generation. With this 992 generation, the increase of price between the GT3 and the GT3RS is $122,706. Now that is an increase of 32.6%. Ask yourself, is the GT3RS that's just been released 32.6% more impressive or better than the GT3? I think most people would probably agree. It certainly is not coming with that much extra power, that is for sure, but at enormous, at some points 2 to 3 times the amount of downforce, depending on how fast you're going. Now, what I also wanted to do is compare the difference between the GT3RS and the GT3 from different generations. Now, I haven't done it from every generation, but I wanted to know, because I'm a bit of a nerd, whether that had changed a lot between the last generation and this one. So, as I said, you're paying 32.6% more for today's current GT3RS, and for the previous one, you're paying 27.51%. So the 991.2 went from 355 to 453, 27.51%. So essentially Porsche believes that with the 992 generation, you are going to be willing to pay a lot more extra for a GT3RS than you were in the last generation. And I think that they're pretty much on the ball with that one, given that you have an enormous active wing, which is not present on the GT3. You have all sorts of active aero, different aero, and more customization on the steering wheel and things like that. So I hope that sort of helped you get a sort of idea of what the GT Porsche land looks like at the moment. It's interesting to see that the GT4 at 253K is less than half the price of the GT3RS. So you could buy 2 GT4s for the price of a GT3RS now. God knows, a GT2RS by maybe next year with the Weissach pack and everything else, we could be hitting 1 million Australian dollars. That's 700,000 USD, by the way. Right. I have one last piece of information for you that I've collated, and that is back in 2018, I bought a 991.1 GT3RS for 420 grand. And I was interested to see that car, which Weissach was not available at the time, how much difference a fully spec'd out car that I would like myself of a GT3RS would be more today. An astonishing figure, 61.90%. So the car that I bought, the GT3RS, in just 6 years, that's 6, in just 6 years has gone up with a top spec car, 61.90%. So $420,000 to $680,000 is the GT3RS that I spec'd. All right. I hope all those numbers made sense. I hope you enjoyed some of the numbers and worked out what you want. Let me know in the comments what you think is the best value GT Porsche on sale today, and I'll see you guys next time.